First of all, everyone will have to bear with my bad throat. So I have not been well for last 2 days. Unfortunately, though, the preparations for this summit has taken a very, very long time, and having it here in Jaipur was itself a big challenge. But fortunately, I came across the Economic Times team, and particularly Karthik and Ujale and the local representatives and correspondents of Economic Times and Times of India all know me very well for a very long time. So Karthik got shifted to Economic Times, so I thought that let us have some kind of gathering of SMEs, the subject matter experts, and let us discuss about in detail that what are the challenges and what can be the solutions and what is being practiced in other states or other big cities or metropolitan towns of the country and what we all can gain out of it. So if I find it difficult to speak, then I will cut short my remarks and go back to my chair. I'm sorry for that. So first of all, good morning to everyone. And you have been able to make it in a large number in this conference. I am very happy for that, and I am very thankful on behalf of the state government of Rajasthan, the transport department, and the local self-government department, and as well as the Jaipur City Transport Services Limited, which is the host partner along with Economic Times. I welcome you all. I feel honored to welcome the esteemed guest on the dais, Shri Sandeep Verma ji, who is my senior from IIT Delhi, an excellent officer, who is currently holding charge of Principal Secretary Science and Technology. And few months ago, he was Chairman and Managing Director of Rajasthan State Road Transport Corporation. So though we had a chance to work only for a period of 3 months or so in the urban transport sector, but whenever there was some difficulty, may it be related to some kind of new ideas or the challenges the urban transport sector faces, or to get some kind of intellectual inputs, or to get any kind of advice, I would always seek time from him, and he was always very patientful and more than happy to sit along with me and discuss the issues. I am thankful to Sandeep Verma sir for gracing this occasion today. Mr. Kolte, who has spared his valuable time, CEO Smart City Pune, he is also along with us. Then Secretary Local Self-Government Department, Jogaram, Transport Commissioner KL Swami, they are from Rajasthan only. Mohammad Ujali is here. I am thankful to all of you for gracing this occasion today. I also welcome all other delegates who are present here. I see Mihir sitting here. So he should have been here, rather. So we take a lot of inputs about the sector from him, and I had discussions twice or thrice with him, and I keep on troubling him on phone. He is from Ernst & Young. He's partner in E&Y and is looking after the urban transport sector and holds in his pocket lot of experience, domestic and as well as abroad, working outside the country. I also welcome the other officers from various states who are present here, the representatives of state transport undertakings, the city bus transport authority, metro corporations, industry is present here, the subject matter experts are present here, policy advisors are here, and I see a lot of media people also. A lot of them I know personally. I thank you, all of them. And I, as host partner, also thank Economic Times for choosing Jaipur as the destination for this grand summit. So the question comes that why do we gather here today? Why Jaipur and why this summit on urban mobility? So there is a purpose. Like the purpose, the underlying purpose is that we want to re-emphasize that the urban mobility is a sector of highly critical importance and is not being given due weightage. There are certain reasons for that. We would be discussing all those reasons, the challenges and the solutions which are available there, which we need to adopt, which we need to customize across the series of sessions and the discussions which will be taking place. And in the current context, these challenges are mounting day by day. We do not see any space of respite. Things are not improving at all. Despite a lot of investment going into infrastructure or finding IT solutions or taking feedback from the civil society, despite that, putting new regulations in place, the things are not improving at the pace at which they should improve. So, like going back somewhere till 1980s, urban transportation was not quite a big challenge. Till 1980s, everything was fine. That post-independence after 1947, the urban areas, the cities were growing in India and social and economic activities were booming. But even then, the kind of infrastructure which we had in our urban areas never appeared to choke the urban mobility. It never appeared to choke the urban transport or movement of people or vehicles both. But as one of the Niti Aayog reports says, that somewhere in the middle of 1990s, this problem of urban transportation became a major issue. And then we started talking about it. Everyone started talking about the issue of urban transport, the challenges we face, the problems which we face, and our inability, both of the policymakers and the departments and the agencies which are involved at the field level, that we were not able to handle or grapple with the issue of the problems in urban transport. So roughly that is the period that in the middle of 1990s we started in India thinking deep seriously. We started thinking deep seriously about how to handle these issues. So that is the benchmark here, because the manner in which the urbanization happened, the cities started growing, the migration from rural to urban areas increased. Because a few days ago I was in another web conference and someone told me that, so whenever I speak, I go to the conferences or when I am asked to discuss in a group or panel discussion, I always say that urbanization would be one of the biggest problem with country like India would be facing in future. Then they say that, no, already there are reports that the growth of population in the country is somewhere getting balanced out. It is getting neutralized. So after a decade or so, maybe the population, the gross population of the country would start falling, like as it has happened in other developed economies. But I said no, it is not going to happen in urban areas, because the pace at which the migration would happen from rural to urban areas, despite, even if a scenario gets created when the population in totality of the country starts coming down, the urban population would keep on increasing like anything for another period of at least 30 to 40 years. So it is certainly a big challenge. So the manner in which the urbanization has increased, the income levels has risen, we know the continuous growth in GDP and rather the kind of the divide in terms of income inequality and owning of wealth has been witnessed by us, and our changing lifestyles too. So if I was using public transport or if I was using paratransit like auto or tempos, but if my income level rises and I can afford a car, thanks to the advertisement by the loaning agencies and the financial sectors and the banks. So the changing lifestyle has also caused a lot of problem in urban transport arena. So today we are here to basically delve upon these issues, the challenges which we face, and the solutions which we can look for. And the most critical aspect is that those solutions should be sustainable. We cannot go, because investing in urban transport infrastructure, then there is no return. Because the levels of investments are of such huge quantity and amount. So when you talk about investment in roads, bridges, flyovers, traffic systems, ITMS, ITS, then you talk about something like 1,000 crores, 2,000 crores. And in big metropolitan cities like Mumbai and Delhi and Calcutta or Chennai, it is sometimes more than 5,000, 6,000 crores. So you have to strike the right solution for your own city. That is the major challenge, because then if you start moving ahead in making investments and choosing a solution. So that is the biggest challenge which I personally feel we are facing, that the how to select and choose the right solution. I think we all are here to discuss all those particular aspects here today. So what is the most common challenge? So most common challenge, if we ask any ordinary person in a city, so it is like there is, in a common man's language or a phrase, it is like, I have difficulty in moving. So the people like Mihir in ENY, they would have a big matrix. So these are the problem areas, these are the difficulties. But if you ask a common man, he would say that I have difficulty in moving from one place to another. So what are the reasons? Reasons are two. Either I cannot get hold of some good mode. मेरे को ऑटो नहीं मिल रहा है, मेरे को बस नहीं मिल रही है, मेरे को मेट्रो नहीं मिल रही है, मेरे को प्राइवेट बस नहीं मिल रही है ना, मैं मोटरसाइकिल घर में एक ही है, वो बच्चा लेके चला गया मेरा. So which mode? So number one is choice of mode. Modal choices. So how the city planners or urban planners have worked to handle this issue. And second is the rising congestion. So even if I own a car, even if there is a city bus available next to my doorstep, is it all right? So is it all right to move in it? Because of n number of reasons. So these are the two basic challenges. मैं कैसे travel करना है मेरे को, और क्या वो सुविधा available उपलब्ध होने के बाद भी मैं congestion से free हूँ. So congestion is another major problem which unfortunately, and I have seen, I will not mince the words, even here in Rajasthan. So when we discuss the policy issues at the higher level in the government, so congestion is never an issue when you talk about urban transport sector. It is only about कितनी बस लगानी है, कहाँ लगानी है, कब लेनी है, क्या चलेगा, क्या operating model होगा. But whether adding another 300 or 400 buses would resolve the issue of congestion, because yesterday only there was a long discussion and debate going on LinkedIn platform. So I wrote on it, and there was an article written by me around 3-4 months ago that ठीक है आप city bus transport buses बढ़ाते रहिए, because urban transport is an issue where you have to allocate a resource, and road space is a resource. If you go from Rambagh to on the Tonk Road up to the industrial area, so that is the fixed road which is available to you. And there is a limit of expansion of network. At the most you can make 2-lane, 4-lane, you cannot make it 10-lane. There would be other establishments out there on that particular road. So there would be, and even if you have a lot of financing and funding for making investment in infrastructure expansion, even then right of way would not be available. So if you increase the number of buses, say you have brought down 10 cars and put in one bus on that particular road, but then another 10 buses, 10 new cars would get added in due course of time. And that is the major reason that in cities like Bangalore and Mumbai and large parts of Delhi, in Delhi, even after having metro, even after having good city bus service, the issue of problem is still, the issue of congestion is still a serious problem in many of areas, because new cars would get added. Today, I may think of not buying a car, because I know it is very difficult to drive in the congested areas in the peak hours. But if I see now, okay, everything is all right, JCTSL has provided 300 new buses, then I'll buy a car. So there are research papers on this particular subject. So ultimately, congestion has to get reduced. So it is not only by providing public transport only, we'll be able to reduce the congestion and bring relief to the common citizen of the city. So coming back to a little bit of another theory part, because a lot of academicians and subject matter experts are sitting here. So making trips. So, and while we were discussing about how to title this conference, so the first thing which came to mind was like Urban Transport Summit. So then we sat and decided, no, urban transport should not be an issue. It is not an issue. It is only a small subset of this whole ecosystem. Let us call it urban mobility. Because as the National Transport Policy of Government of India also says that it is not about moving vehicles, it is about moving people. Unless you have that thing in your mind, unless CMD JCTSL has in his mind that I don't have to move my buses from A to B to C to Z, and that I have to move people basically. So when we think about like this, then there is a whole ecosystem which comes into play. So that is the most critical aspect. I would expect that few of the sessions we have organized and tailored according to this particular need only, that such issues can also be discussed. So, and another very important thing which we forget while we plan, because when I was thinking about, I was discussing with Mihir and I had a discussion with the PwC team also and some of our senior officers within the organization. Then the issue came up like, what is the economics behind, like why we should have, when we were preparing the service plan and business plan, how to expand the organization, then what are the issues which we need to consider? So we reach to the first point then, every time, whenever we start discussing or tearing apart the problem. So it is like why the trips get generated. So trips get generated and requirement or need of moving in a city, people and goods both, goods transport also, that also we forget most of the times. It is being left to the transport commissioner or to the transport department. But we forget that the movement of goods doesn't happen only through big trucks and trailers. Movement of goods happen every day, every hour in the old part of the city. That is also an essential component and part of urban transport. So, movement or mobility is a derived demand. We move out, मैं कार लेके कहीं तभी जाता हूँ या बस तभी पकड़ता हूँ जब मेरे को किसी काम के लिए कुछ करना होता है. It is not the original demand, it is a derived demand. So, there is a big role of urban planners also to see how the number of trips is reduced and then how the whole transportation system gets organized. So Sandeep Verma sir is sitting here, and when I was in Metro, CMD, Jaipur Metro Rail Corporation, we tried very hard to push the UMTA model bill so that there is a unified authority at the city level which can consider and discuss all these aspects and then come out with a mobility solution. Not JCTSL deciding I need 300 buses, not RSRTC saying I need another 400 buses, not the transport commissioner saying that मेरे को 10 रूट खोलने हैं, यहाँ पे छोटी बस चलेगी, यहाँ ट्रैक्स चलेगा, यहाँ टेम्पो चलेगा. Not only JDA deciding, not only LSG deciding कि यहाँ पार्किंग कर दो because traffic police कह रही है. It is a whole ecosystem which needs to be examined in detail, and it is city specific. It is city specific. It will always be city specific. What we did in Mumbai cannot be implemented in Jaipur. And another problem with, I am half done. I'll take similar amount of more time. Another problem is that in case of congestion, what happens is that so the people who have good income levels or so-called rich people in the society, in any city, they will find X, Y, Z other ways and means to get that derived demand accomplished. Simple like they say anything. If you want to get like something, your motorcycle repaired, so you can make a call and some mechanic would come at your home and he will repair your motorcycle or car, so because you can afford. But there would be another category where someone will have to take his car to the mechanic shop. That means that which is a derived demand, he has to accomplish that. So ultimately, in case of congestion and poor quality of urban transport in any city, it is the marginalized and the disadvantaged who suffers. This thing we have to keep in our mind. जो बेसिकली गरीब आदमी है, जो अपनी चीज़ों को, व्यवस्थाओं को, काम को अपने अनुरूप नहीं चला सकता because of his lesser level of financial status, he is the biggest sufferer because of congestion. So our policy should be fine-tuned towards those directions. So I said that rich man's burden is borne by the poor in urban transport sector if we are not able to provide good services to every citizen in the city. And rather, and apart from this, rather the whole economy suffers. There is a very interesting data, I came across it. Boston Consulting Group, BCG, 2018 report. It says that the four major cities of India, Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, and Bengaluru, they suffer an annual cost of 1.5 lakh crore rupees due to traffic congestion. मतलब 1.5 लाख करोड़ रुपए सालाना नुकसान होता है इन 4 शहरों में केवल. एंड रिपोर्ट इज नॉट वेरी ओल्ड, इट इज 2018, बढ़ा ही होगा. तो 1.5 लाख करोड़ रुपए का नुकसान. थिंक इफ दिस part of this amount of money, and situation is similar, it is like this in Jaipur, it is like this maybe in Indore, maybe in Bhopal, or maybe in Kanpur or Lucknow. I have visited most of these cities, so things are like this only. So this is the basically level and the scale of problem which sir ko baitha. I welcome Kunjilal Meena sir, Principal Secretary, UDH. Okay, right. So this is the level of problem which we are facing. So it is just a kind of figure which I wanted to throw open before this audience to just understand that what is the scale of problem. And things are deteriorating day by day. So, and as I already mentioned, providing public transport is not the final solution, because as if you free the space of road, new cars would get added, urbanization would increase, migration from rural to urban happen. तो आपकी टोंक रोड पे आप मेट्रो बना दीजिए, टोंक रोड पे आप 50 बस और लगा दीजिए, बट 3 साल बाद फिर टोंक रोड भर जाएगी आपकी. Then what you will do? So there are certain solutions, I am not going in detail, like road pricing models, जो बाहर हैं. And mark my words, we abhor such kind of innovative and creative and successful ideas, but they will come one day in our country. They have to. But only when this situation will become so bad or worse. So like in Singapore, this road pricing model is in existence till, I was surprised to read, since 1974. 1974 से सिंगापुर में रोड प्राइसिंग मॉडल है. एंड देर आर फ्यू cities like London, Stockholm, Singapore and Milan who have done wonderful work in road pricing model. So you have to discourage the personal transport also to some extent, by some ways, keeping equity in mind. Again, the marginalized or people having low level of income should not suffer because of the road pricing model. There are ways of doing it. There are economic tools and solutions for achieving the objective of equity and fairness. So that is one of the, I wanted to highlight this for one of these sessions, if this can be discussed further in detail, and if some kind of report, as we have discussed that, whatever are the findings or takeaways from this conference, we will be sending a report to Ministry of Housing Affairs to examine the issues and, if possible, make them part of the city. So these are the problems, but where do the solutions lie then? Because I had been talking only about the problems, and as policymakers and senior policymakers are sitting on the dais. Sorry, I'll finish. So you want to hand over this? After this, okay. That policy Principal Secretary UDH is here, Principal Secretary LSG is here, and Principal Secretary Science and Technology is here. And we policymakers are mostly blamed of remaining disconnected with the reality. So whenever there is any issue which is discussed out of the government, the industry or the accommodations would say कि आप लोग जो है ना धरातल से नहीं जुड़े हुए हैं, इसलिए आप ऐसी नीतियाँ बना देते हैं कि वो नीतियाँ मतलब या तो सफल नहीं होती हैं या फेल हो जाती है. But things are always not like that. They may be like that in few cases. But at least in urban transport, I feel myself privileged. Because I am born and brought up in Jaipur. यहीं पैदा हुआ, यहीं मैंने schooling की. I have seen ins and outs of Jaipur city. I have seen how the city has grown, how the economy has changed of the whole city, how the city has sprawled out of the old four walls. So I have that privilege. So I can say with authority that situations have not only changed, they have deteriorated quite a lot. No one to blame, but they have certainly deteriorated. So because we now have to understand that the whole paradigm of this issue of urban transport has changed, because, so like if I have spent my childhood here in Jaipur city, in old part of Jaipur city. So whenever you talk about like mobility, the first thing which comes to my mind is like we used to walk around in most of the area of the, चाहे वो temples हो या मैदान हो या sports के लिए जाना हो, we used to go to school on cycle. Then another thing which used to come to my mind के, is it safe? So when I move around, normally parents को लगता है कि is it safe if I move around in the city? Then another thing which comes to my mind is that can I reach on time? So will I be able to reach on time or not? And even, is there a surety? If I have to catch a auto, so is there a surety that I can catch that auto when I have to go to school or to go to some function or to go to meet someone else? And then how much I will have to pay for it? So these are the issues which come to the mind of an ordinary citizen when he moves out of his house to travel or to accomplish his or her trip. Then if there is a problem, then who is going to listen me? Where to go? मिनी बस वाला ढंग से नहीं चला रहा है या JCTSL का ड्राइवर ने स्टॉप पे बस को नहीं रोकी, तो where I will go and complain or put my grievance about it, that is another thing. And would my choices remain time neutral? So जो आज व्यवस्था है, क्या वो व्यवस्था आगे कायम रहेगी क्या? आज 300 बस अगर मैं ऐड करता हूँ, like in JCTSL, what will happen after 8 years? Like in March 23, my 100 buses are getting time barred. I have to remove them fleet. So my number would come down to 200, which used to be 400 plus 4 or 5 years ago. So these are the issues which, if I summarize, defines the whole objective of having this conference here today. So the objectives of urban mobility policy, it has to be walkable, whatever policy we have, walkable, cyclable, safe, reliable, मैं सोच रहा हूँ तो मेरे को बस मिल जाए, साधन मिल जाए, affordable, participative, कोई ऐसी व्यवस्था हो कि मैं अपनी बात कह सकूँ as a citizen कि ये ठीक नहीं चल रहा है आपका, and sustainable, walkable, cyclable, safe, reliable, affordable, participative, and sustainable. And this whole system of urban mobility is a mix of all these attributes. It is an ecosystem. And in an ecosystem, a synergy has to be created. Urban planners, road networks, parking lots, traffic management, transport licensing, auto industry, now electric vehicle industry, personal transport, my two-wheeler, my four-wheeler car, public transport, government-owned public transport, JCTSL, private-owned public transport like private minibuses, accommodation, civil society, policymakers, then IT-related tools like intelligent transport system and intelligent traffic management system, then public information systems, then paratransit. Paratransit, I always say when I sit and discuss with my officers, we cannot forget paratransit. कभी नहीं छोड़ सकते, because but there are few recommendations of Government of India which say that ये auto सब कम करो, ये खत्म नहीं होंगे कभी. Last mile and first mile connectivity, paratransit is essential. How we can integrate that system into our overall scenario of public transport, that is the most major and basic issue, and it is completely out of the radar. And Transport Department, Transport Commissioner is trying hard to, sorry, I have been asked to wrap up. Anyway, so a few other things were there, but I'll come to my last point. So I would end up saying that this is what we have gathered here to discuss these issues and then come out with a kind of
report which can be of some use, and we sit and share and engage and learn about the success stories and the places where we failed and how we can tailor our own solutions considering our baseline conditions. I may be a small organization, some other organization may be big, I may be thin, they may be flat, but the point is that we have to find our own solutions. And I'm very thankful to Economic Times and all of you who are present here and all senior officers who have spared their valuable time remaining present here and contributing to this conclave, and I wish all the best and hope the best outcome of this summit.